Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 23 career mode, and today we're here starting off our Moto2 career. I know it's been a little while, but I did want to give plenty of time for the poll to go through, and I do want to say a big thank you to everyone that voted in that poll on my community feed for which team we should go with in Moto2. And of course, this is the screen that I left the last episode off on, and this is where we are picking up this episode. So of course, in that poll, you guys voted for Italtrans. I was a little bit disappointed to see that because we actually went with Italtrans last year in MotoGP 22 career mode, so definitely won't be going with it again in MotoGP 24. I'll definitely leave it off the list, but this time you guys voted for it, so we will go for it again. So without any further ado, let's head into it, select Italtrans as our team, and get into Moto2. So then, after that team introduction, then you can see we've got straight into another turning point, a new start, finish in front of Joe Roberts in the standings within 3 GPs. So Biker wants to begin the adventure in a new category in the best way possible, by finishing in front of their teammate. They'll show the paddock they're aiming high. So there we go then, straight into it. No messing around with pre-season picking managers and things like that. It is nice to kind of be away from that element of the career mode. Of course, it was something that was in the previous years. We're straight into the next season, and you can see we've got a message on the social media from Joe Roberts as well, so if we have a little look at that one. On behalf of Italtrans Racing Team, we're really pleased to welcome Biker to the team, and that's a lovely message there from Joe. We're already getting off on a good foot, and I am going to be very nice to him in return, so being here is fantastic. I'm looking forward to getting down to work on the bike and taking to the track. So there we go, it's a good way to start off the relationship with a positive interaction. Now, I did see some of you guys telling me in the comments below that AI are going to be pretty weak in Moto2, which is a shame, especially at Portimao as well, because you remember back to the first round of our Moto3 season, we were very, very competitive at Portimao, and in the previous games as well, the AI have been quite weak at Portimao, so we may get a pretty good result in this first race. I'm going to go with 120% AI and just see how we get on. I'm looking forward to actually riding the Moto2 bike in this game, because I've not done it so far at all, so without any further ado, we may as well get straight into it then, and I'll see you after free practice. So then, at the end of practice 2, you can see, unfortunately, we haven't done enough to go through into qualifying 2 straight away. Now, I actually was in a position where I should have been able to go through. I was in P14, that would have been enough to get me through. But then, as I ended the session, the AI clearly on their simulated times have improved quite a bit. But to be fair, it's actually not that bad, because we're only 1.1 off, even with a simulated time there from Tony Arbolino. So we're in the mix, because usually when we had this in Moto3, we'd be like 1.1 off the back of the field. So that's pretty decent. And we're not even last. We are beating the Zany, although I assume there's probably been something that's gone on there. So yeah, like I said, we weren't exactly doing amazingly before. We were P14, so the AI probably are going to be, the top AI anyway, are going to be a little bit better, because we were about 0.9 off of the top time. But to be honest, it's not too bad, and especially when it comes to these times, they're always quicker in these sessions. In the races, they do tend to be a bit slower, and I can also make the difference a little bit more in the race, potentially. So I'm just going to try and go to qualifying 1, see what we can do, hopefully get through, but I guess we'll find out once we get into the session. So here we are then, down in the pits for our first qualifier session in Moto2. And if we look at the tyre comp, as you can see, I basically was using the same set of tyres for the entire of practice. The only exception to that was I was using a soft tyre initially. I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't bother with the soft tyre. It's really bad. I started using it. I got to a certain level where I was still a decent bit off. Thought I'd try the hard tyre because the soft was spinning a lot and starting to overheat. And the hard tyre immediately offered more grip, less temperature, no spinning. There was some corners where I was just getting thrown off the bike constantly, and that just wasn't happening anymore on the hard tyre. So yeah, the hard tyre definitely is the way to go, and that's what I'm going to go with in this session. I think we are going to probably struggle to actually get through into Q2, to be quite honest. Again, if the simulated times are the same, we're going to probably be about a second off, so we could very well end up at the back of the grid. Hopefully not, but it is always possible. And I'm surprised, because I got told that the AI were even worse in Moto2 than in Moto3, supposedly. And I know that AI are generally pretty bad at Portimao, so I kind of expected to be on a really, really good pace here, but it doesn't actually seem that way. If you remember back to last season in Moto3, we're actually on the front row at this round and finished second place in the race. And that was with the old AI before they made them slower, although I think, to be fair, they've rectified that slightly. But even still, that was with the day one really fast AI and now we've got a slightly slower AI at a track, again, where we did perform really well immediately out the box. Although it is worth noting that we did have 3 races prior on the Honda to get used to that, whereas this is our first race on this bike, because of course we did the debut season. I didn't only just think of that. So potentially, that could be part of the reason why we're struggling a little bit, but it just seems like the AI maybe not as bad at this track in this category, so could be in for a bit of a tougher weekend than we perhaps had in Moto3, which is a shame, because really, if I want to fight for this championship, we need to be good from the beginning. Right, so here we are then, about to start our first qualifying lap here in Moto2 at Portimao. There's the line. Well, the line's not really there actually, but that's where it should be. So here we are then, up towards the line. We were red in the first 2 sectors, orange in the third one, and over the line, 42.6, not a bad lap time, 7/10 off of Lorenzo Dalla Porta. So it does seem like they've got a little bit more than me in this session, which is a shame. I'll tell you what, this has been some lap. We're our second under as we come up towards the line, and that will be just about enough to take us to the top of the timesheets. There we go. 25 thousandths off of Alex Escrige, a 41.7. I don't know if I've got more time in the locker than that one, it must be said. But currently, we are on course to go through to Q2, but I just have a feeling that AI might find a little bit more time. And if they don't do it in the session, they'll definitely do it afterwards. I'm out of fuel anyway, so I've got to go back to the pits, and that's probably the end of our session. We might get another run, actually, with nearly 9 minutes to go. But to be honest, I really can't see us topping that. That is some lap for me. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I did a low 42 in the last session, so it's a significant chunk quicker. So we actually did a 42.3 in practice, so we actually did find a decent bit of time there, 0.6 of a second. So that probably would have actually put us through into qualified 2, maybe. Actually, I'm not sure on that one, but we're only a second off, so 0.6, that would have only been 0.4 off, so that probably would have been enough to get us through, annoyingly. I hope that we do actually go through now, but I just have that feeling that AI simulated times will just trump us that little bit. So then, at the end of the session, we actually have done enough to get through into qualified 2 with Alex Escrige, Darren Binder, and Bo Benschneider. And something I didn't notice until I was actually looking at the times was that Joe Roberts was in this session, and we have absolutely trounced him 0.8 quicker than our more experienced teammates. That's a good way to start the season. I was a little bit worried that we had to go through Q1. I thought we were going to be stuck at the back, but the pace is clearly there. So let's get into Q2. Hopefully, if the AI times are similar to this, which generally they are, they don't make much of a step between Q1 and Q2, we actually could be in a good position on the grid for our first ever Moto2 race. So here we are then in qualifying 2, and we're just going to do the exact same thing, just go straight out on a set of medium hard tyres. We've actually got Alonso Lopez right in front of us, which should be a pretty good marker, because he was very high up in free practice. You can see 7th place, I think he was, so overall on the combined times he was 7th, but even in the session that we did, he was right up there, especially at the beginning, although I think he did perhaps drop back a little bit as the session went on. But even still, he's a good reference, so we'll try and stick with him. But to be honest, the cold tyres are absolutely horrendous on this bike. It takes definitely a lap or so to get up to speed, which might be a problem in the race, actually, thinking about it. But especially on the out lap, it is pretty bad. But once you get to the first flying lap, tyres are pretty good. So here we are then, up towards the line. We need to replicate that 1 minute 41.7. In fact, hopefully we can even better it. But to be honest, just to get near it would be a good start. So here we are out of the last corner. What are we going to do on this lap? 39, 40, 41, 42, 42.5. So significantly off what we did in that previous session. Although currently it is 0.8 quicker than Alex Escrige. We're going to have to go again, try to find some more time. So this has been a significant improvement. We're going to be about half a second under. So we come up towards the line. What's that going to put us? P8, so pretty decent. 0.3 off of Philip Salach. Although I'd imagine that AI are going to improve even more. If I can do that 41.7 as well, that will actually be pole position. So I went for another lap there, didn't manage to improve unfortunately, and you can see we're pretty much out of fuel, which is probably the worst thing that could happen, because I need to be able to get back to the pits, and I think the AI might simulate their times if I run out of fuel, which would be a big problem, because I think they'll find a decent chunk over that 41.7. So unfortunately, they did improve by a decent margin. If I was able to actually replicate that time I did in Q1, I'd be 5th place, which is absolutely unbelievable to think that a time that I set in Q1 would have been good enough for 5th place. Kind of annoying. Well, I say 5th. It's within the same 10th. It could very well have been 9th place there behind Aaron Canet, but I think it would have been somewhere around there. Either way, it would have been in contention for that. But unfortunately, we weren't able to replicate it, and we're actually down in 16th place on the grid, which isn't ideal at all. But it's not too bad either. We're not at the back of the grid. We're in the mid-pack. I feel like we can come through. The pace is generally there. We are up there in terms of pace, so I think we can actually maybe find our way through. And the AI do tend to be a little bit slower in the races sometimes, so hopefully we can still try and get into the top 10. Obviously, points is the main objective, but I want to try and get a decent finish in this first round, because as we saw in Moto3, if you don't finish well in the opening rounds, the championship soon goes out the window. So without any further ado then, let's head down to the grid, and I'll see you there for the start of our Moto2 career. So here we are then, down on the grid for this Portuguese Grand Prix in the Moto2 class. Currently looking at Tony Arbolino in second position. He could very well be one of our rivals as we go throughout the season. And also Lopez down in 18th place, a couple of spots behind us. So we're going to have to watch his back a little bit, because he's going to be coming through. And based on his performances in real life, especially when it comes to passing British riders, we really do need to be careful. We could be the next one on the list, and I do believe he had some sort of incident at Portimao in real life as well, so yeah, we do need to watch out for him. But jokes aside, we will be going with the same tyre combination that we have used pretty much the entire weekend. The medium front and the hard rear seems to be the fastest combination, and the combination that's going to last the longest as well throughout the race, so clearly the no-brain strategy to go for in this race. Not sure how many laps we've got. I think if I check the fuel it should tell me. It's 12 laps, so yeah. We've got a 12 lap race ahead of us, so it's going to be a bit of a long one. It will be obviously a bit longer in this Moto2 class than it was in Moto3, but I'm eager to get into the race. So without any further ado, let's start our first ever race in Moto2.
At Portimao, everything's ready for the start of the race and the adrenaline's running high. There's only room for one thought in the riders' minds: to make it to the finish line first.
So we've got Acosta on pole position then, the title favourite, alongside him, Tony Arbolino. But here we are then, the lights are all waiting to go here for this first round of Moto2. They're holding for quite a long time, lights out and away we go. And we've had a pretty decent start already as we go down towards the first corner. In fact, we've had a very good start. In fact, we could be almost into the lead pack as we go into turn 1. And we are indeed up into P5 already, and up into P3 on the exit of turn 1, up into P2. Arbolino leads on us a little bit as we dive into the hairpin up the inside of Acosta as well, who've taken the lead briefly. We've ran a bit wide. I had to let the brake off because I thought we were going to hit Pedro. We've got the run anyway on the curb. We've taken the lead here from 16th on the grid. That's unbelievable. We've not changed AI difficulty at all. They're still on 120%. But that just shows how bad of a start they've got. Not sure how it's changed so much there from qualified to the race. Now, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's not going to be like this the whole race. And this next sector of the track, the AI are going to catch up to us. We were quickest in the first two sectors throughout the weekend, basically. Sectors 1 and 2, we were the fastest rider. You can see Acosta has already caught up to the back of us. And over this crest, we are going to struggle a little bit. Actually, not too bad there in Palmo 2. But when we were using Palmo 3, which we have been for a lot of the weekend, the bike wheelies a hell of a lot. We do lose a lot of time, but I tell you what, I wasn't expected to lead this race, but Arbolino now takes the lead, so Acosta drops down to 3rd place. Arbolino takes the lead, and Acosta's going to try and come around the outside. In fact, he successfully goes around the outside, and he almost hits the back of Arbolino, so he goes wide, and we've now got Chandra on the inside of a sandwich between the two of them. We've hit both of them, and as we go into the penultimate turn here at Portimao, we're just holding on, but we're being pushed out the way by Philip Salac there. We're just going backwards all of a sudden. What is happening here? The AI have had a massive advantage over me in this sector all weekend, and they did in Moto3 as well. Don't know where they're going through the last corner. We're down to 6th place. We're going to use a bit of Palmo 3 here, try and get the slipstream. So we know they are a little bit slow on the straight sometimes. And down towards turn 1, we should have some pretty good braking ability. If you remember last season here, we kept braking around the outside of the AI into turn 1. And we've done it once again. Back up into P3. Arbolino still leads. We've got the run on Acosta. Contact with Acosta as he's a bit wide and comes back to the racing line into the hairpin. Are we going to try and make a pass on him again? No, he leans on us this time. Obviously, this time I didn't let the brake off. I thought I was going to wipe him out the first occasion. And here we go up the hill through turn 4. Bit of a wheelie. We've got to be careful with the fuel because we're half a lap under already. We blast past him with that Palmo 3. Back up into P2. I'll tell you what, I think this is going to be one of those races where we sort of go backwards and forwards with the AI, and it'll probably only start to calm down once we get a bit further into the race and pull a bit more of a gap, because whilst it's a pack like this, we're going to be losing lots of positions in those last few sectors. And to be fair, if we keep leading the pack behind, it's going to really help Arbolino pull away, because he's going to clean air for the whole lap. And especially the sector where I'm a bit slow, the AI might pass me, but they'll lose a little bit of time behind me, that's for sure. And we could be really playing into Tony's hands here. Oh, Acosta's on the inside of us this time. I thought he was going to be around the outside like he did on the previous lap, but he passes us up the inside this time, and we're back up the inside of him into turn 13. We've dive bombed up the inside of Pedro Acosta. It wasn't even intentional. I just broke a lot later than him. There's a crash behind, they have been crashing a little bit at that corner throughout the weekend as well. It seems to be one of those corners where they actually can lose the front. So it's probably to do with the tyres. And again, look at the power difference there. Arenas goes from 5th to 3rd. They've all ran a bit wide through the last corner. We're going to try and carry the speed through. And at the minute, we're in a better position than we were this time last lap. So it is one of those things where we are working our way through because we're 5th rather than 6th. And we've got a bit of a gap. But here we are then starting the 3rd lap. Can we pass Chandra and Arenas into turn 1? Yes, we can. We've got to try and go around the outside of Pedro as well. And I've overcooked it. We've got to dive off the circuit. Look to the right as we try and rejoin. And I'm probably going to give those positions back. Chandra's come back through. Where's Arenas? Arenas is behind us. Don't want to really get to give that one up because it'll cost us. We were ahead of them going into the corner, to be fair. But I know if I try and let Arenas through, it's just going to be an open invitation to Sam Lowe's and Iagura behind him. We're closing up to... Oh, we've hit Chandra at the back through turn 5 there. So you can tell this is the sector where we have the big advantage over the AI. And if it wasn't for those high-speed corners where for some reason they just have ungodly power compared to me, I'm saving fuel a little bit in the last sector because I'm a bit concerned about the fuel. So maybe that's partially why. You can see Arenas has passed us already here. So we're down to 5th place at this point of the lap. So we're definitely going to drop a bit further behind on this occasion. And it's surprising to see Arenas this high up because he's been struggling so much in real life this season. And we've got Sam Lowe trying to come on the inside as well. You could say a similar story for him, although he did win a race, of course, earlier on in the year. And was in podium contention a couple of times for crashing out at Le Mans and Mugello, although I suppose he didn't really crash out at Mugello, that he got knocked off. So I'm going to try and use a little bit more power mode 3 through this last sector to try and mitigate the AI advantage a little bit. And it seems to have potentially worked because we actually haven't lost any positions through the sector this lap. So maybe that's the way to go. So we're 5th place, so we're a similar position we were in last time, but we're not as close. So we're not going to gain the time back into turn 1, which is probably good because, of course, we actually did gain a bit of time by going off the circuit in turn 1 on the previous occasion. So close up to Arenas again. We try and carry the speed through. Like contact with Lowe's. Lowe's now hits the back of us, and Lowe's rides around the outside. They definitely are using power mode 3, that's for sure. But I'm having to look after my fuel quite immensely. Because you see, we are under by quite a bit. And we're up the inside of Sam Lowe's. We're not going to be able to pull that one off, unfortunately. And Agora sort of go around the outside of us now, over the top of the crest. He'll have the inside for the next corner. So he's done it. Agora now up into P6. So I think it's a bit of a reality check now. We're dropping back through the pack. So we led briefly from P16. We're slowly dropping back towards it. We've been overtaken by Salac as well. Although, to be fair, that probably was more of a mistake than the AI's pace. But through this sector, they are just unreal. And Arbolino's down! Oh, and so Costa and Chandra! Oh, and somebody else is down as well! Okay, there's been a few crashes. Vietti's now overtaken us. We're back up into P5 all of a sudden. Albert Arenas now leads from Sam Lowe's and Philip Salac. So the top 3 riders all went down. I think as well. I'm not actually sure who else went down. I think it might have just been those top 3. But Ben Schneider now comes past us and Gonzalez as well. So we are being beaten up now through this last sector. So I tell you what, I think it's worth burning the fuel a little bit because we're now plus 0.4. So it seems to fluctuate throughout the lap. So I think what we need to do, we need to burn the fuel in the early sectors and try and pull away from the AI a little bit because we're being overtaken too much now through that last sector. We've just passed quite a few of them on the run into turn 1. We're trying to go around the outside of Celestino Vietti on the Fantic bike. Oh, can we do it through the hairpin? Oh, I think we're just about going to manage it. And can we try and beat him to the next part of the corner? Yes, we can. So up into 4th place. A big wheelie, though, over the crest. And that allows Vietti back through once again. The game is telling me about the fuel, but to be honest at the moment, I think we need to ignore that and we need to push on through this sector. And around the outside of Vietti through turn 5. We mean business here. Up into P4 then. Salac up next once again. Then it's Sam Lowe's. And then it's Albert Arenas. But yeah, the top 3 crashing out there at that corner. Very strange. But maybe that's something we will see as we go throughout the race. Because like I said, there has been crashes there all weekend. And if the AI's tyres are starting to go off now, after only 4 laps though, which is a bit strange, if the front tyres starting to wear out, we know that they can lose the front much easier once the tyres start to go off. So Ben Schneider back through. Oh, we're getting massive wheelies. I think that also doesn't help. The power mode 2 actually does help through this section to stop the wheeling, but they've just got so much more power. It just really, really stops us. Gonzalez is trying to attack me as well. Trying to ride defensively. You can see I'm 1.4 laps underneath the fuel now. We are in massive trouble, and to be honest, the plan hasn't particularly worked because we're virtually in the same position we were on the previous lap as well. So Manu Gonzalez and Lorenzo Dalla Porta both trying to pass me down towards turn 1, but as we hit the brakes then, into turn 1. Vietti having a bit of contact there with Bo Benstein. We've got in a bit hot again. We've got onto the green. No chance of this warning though somehow. And we've dropped further back down into P7. But back up the inside we go of Lorenzo Della Porta. I'm not having any of it. He's lent on us a little bit there. We've got the advantage. But look at the inside of Vietti as well. The similar fashion we did on the previous lap. But watch out for the wheelie over the crest. This time we haven't had it. And can we try and do the same pass around the outside into turn 5? In fact, we've done it pretty early in the corner this time. We've run a bit wide though. We're going to allow him back through. Not quite actually. So back up into P5. But we do need to turn the fuel down now because 1.6 laps underneath. I know it's been kind of fluctuating a bit random all over the place, but 1.6 laps halfway through the race is pretty bad. We're in pretty big trouble if that's the case. Here comes Vietti. Oh, Vietti just punted us out the way. That's cost us 3 spots. I'm not very happy about that one. Arenas has now gone down the same turn. We're at the inside. We've got... Did we just pick up 3 checklist warnings for the same corner? That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Okay, well... I cut the corner a little bit because I was a bit surprised. I was trying to cut underneath those AI because they were all in wide, and then I was focusing on the yellow flag. But I just picked up 3 checklist warnings for the same turn. So now all of a sudden, we've only got 2 warnings this whole race to use now. That is ridiculous. We're back to only half a lap down on fuel now, so that's a good sign. But we're now behind Arbolino and Arenas, who have both crashed, which is ridiculous. As we go down towards turn 1 then, trying to go around the outside of a few riders there. We actually haven't been able to overtake any of them. We're not the inside of Della Porta, not the inside of Vietti. Aaron Canet ahead of us. So we're still just about hanging on to this top 7. And we got the inside of Canet. He has to leave us a bit of space, but Canet's actually managed to hang on to position for now. So here we are then, trying to go around the outside into turn 5 of Canet. Oh, we've made a bit of a mistake, got a bit wide there. We've actually pulled it off though. So back up into P6. So we are still making the positions in the same places every lap, even with Moto2, and we're actually back in the positive with the fuel. So the fuel, I think, might be a bit bugged, so I'm actually a bit wary of it, because it just seems to be going up and down so sort of all over the place. It does make me wonder whether it's just estimating if I used Power 3 for the rest of the race, we'd be under by that much. So maybe we haven't got to worry quite as much, but we've got Arbolino all over the back of us. So like I was saying before, we're behind someone that's crashed. We've got somebody else that's already crashed attacking us as well. As we go into this turn, Salach is now down in the gravel. So there's another spot back up into P7. I'll tell you what, we're going to turn the fuel back up again. If it is being all over the place, we're now over a lap over target. So I think it is to do with the way it's calculated. I think it's assuming that we're going to be in Power 3 for the rest of the race. And it's like, oh, you'd be really out of fuel. But obviously we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to use it in a few sectors. So I think I'll probably just keep using it in this last sector to help me out and try and use Power 2 around the rest of the lap. And we're about to do our personal best lap of the race. Although, to be honest, it's actually quite slow, 43.8. So the race pace is actually pretty slow considering, but I think it's just because we're being overtaken by the AI all the time, sort of held up by them. And obviously the lack of Power 3 as well. But we're back up the inside of Vietti. Going to try to go around the outside of Canet. So we're going to be able to do it into the hairpin. No, we just had contact with him instead. He's not very happy with us, but to be honest, we kind of run out of room. So I tried to just avoid him the best I can. And he's now attacking Arenas anyway, so he's not exactly been hindered by it too much. As we go into turn 5, I'm thinking about an outside pass. I'm not thinking about it anymore. I've pulled it off. So we've passed Canet once again. So actually up into P5. So that's actually getting higher up the grid. But of course, Salach has fallen off in front of us now as well. So that's why the extra spot. That's where the extra spot comes from. So it seems like we're pretty balanced around the circuit, in all honesty. Here comes Canet around the outside again, and Vietti sandwiching me as we go sort of up the hill again now. We'll go down the hill then back up, but Vietti got on the curb, so that actually cost him, which gave us the place back. And Canet's wide, so we're at the side of Aaron Canet, although, to be fair, he has hung it around the outside, so fair play to him. And we're now being attacked once again. Vietti comes back past us. Arbolino's still looking for a way through. We're going to go back up into Power 3 because see, we're pretty much level on the fuel, so that's not great. But we're still in 7th place for now. We're just holding on to it. As we go through this last turn, we need to try and get a good exit to try and overtake Vietti and Canet once again. But to be honest, I kind of messed up the last corner. That's allowed Costa and Arbolino through. So those are going to be the title contenders this year, bashing each other out the way, fighting for P7 in this first round because they've both already come off the bike. As we go to turn 1, around the outside. Oh, now up the inside. We've just pushed Canet out the way onto the curb. Sorry, Aaron. He's going to be pretty mad with us. And there comes Acosta as well. Having some aggressive passing here. We've lost the rear. Are we going to hang on to that position ahead of Acosta? Not quite. And now Canet's back on the inside. Oh, this is some proper hard battling for P5 here. Or P6, sorry. Because Vietti's ahead in P5. And to go down into turn 5, we try and go around the outside of a couple at once, but it's just not going to work. I know you probably wonder why I keep going around the outside, but you can't really pass them up the inside. And if I just take the normal racing line, I just go around them. So that's why I keep doing that, by the way, just to be clear. So it still seems like we're just about hanging on for P7. You can see we're miles behind Sam Lowe. Sam Lowe's is 7 seconds in front of us now. That's ridiculous how much tyres pulled into us. Or pulled into us, pulled away from us. And we've got Acosta back up the inside, but so bizarre, our lack of pace in this race. And Gonzalez and Bensteiner are both down, and Arbolino tries to make the pass at the same time. We picked up another track limits warning, so we've only got one warning to go now in this race. We're back up into P6 all of a sudden. We've cut the curb. It's just so chaotic all over the place. Sorry that I keep cutting that corner, by the way, guys, but it's just whenever there's the crashes, I'm trying to watch for when they're coming back on, and I end up just turning a bit too tight. It's still a bit unfair that we picked up 3 for the same incident, to be quite honest, but there you go. That's kind of put us in a bit of a spot. So here we are then, up towards the line. Well, we've actually gone over the line. We're just starting this lap 10 or 12. We go back past Philip Salac and back up into P6. Tony Arbolino up next. Can we try and find our way through, Tony? Yes, we can. So back up into P5. So we're still just about hanging on for a decent position at the moment. And who knows, there could be any other crashes ahead of us as well. And we should hope, well, I was about to say hopefully we'll overtake Canet. But look at that, Arbolino's just blasted us around the outside. So we're going to go back around the outside of him and try and do Canet as well. But I just don't think we're able to get Canet, unfortunately. It seems like Arbolino, though, so we've got a bit of Palmer 3 left to use, because he's been using a bit of it. And you can see we're half a second under in this first sector, so it just shows when we're not being held up so much by the AI, because we had a bit more of a gap to them in turn 1. All of a sudden, we can do much better lap times again. We're a second underneath now. I think that's probably to do with the fuel load as well, to be fair. But it's not being constantly swarmed and overtaken. And the time, it's just coming all of a sudden. Arbolino back up the inside for the penultimate turn. That's not what I needed. But I have got a second back to Jeremy Alcoba, and that's what I did need. I've been trying to pull that at the whole race, like the second back to the next group. And now that I've finally got it, I should be safe through these last couple of corners, and I can start trying to ride my own lines a little bit more again, which is much better for the lap time. You can see we're about to find half a second, so we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race. 43.3, that's much more like it, but still pretty far off what we were doing in qualifying. And back up the inside of Arbolino, I get a bit of contact, but there's not much I can do when they're just sort of running wide and then sort of staying on the race, and I'm just trying to avoid them on the inside. I'm not trying to ride through them, I'm not trying to do the Dennis on shirt Catalunya, but I'm just trying to take a decent line. And Arbolino, once again, round the outside, he just seems to have that little bit extra compared to the rest of the AI, to be honest, because the rest of them can't seem to do that. And into turn 5, we're going to go round the outside of Tony. And we're up into P5 once again, so we might just be able to hang on to a top 5 here. It's going to be difficult, but if we could just keep Tony at bay, just keep repassing him wherever possible, we might be able to hang on to a top 5, which would be a fantastic result here considering where we started, although he's just rode through us basically, and that's effectively all gone, and it's put me in a pretty dangerous position because Alcoba is now only 3 tenths behind me, so he'll definitely be passing me in this sector. Oh, Alcoba, he's bashed us out the way! So yeah, we're definitely right about him attacking us, and we're going to the inside of Alcoba now, not quite able to pull it off though into that corner. We've got 6 tenths back to Ben Schneider, and then actually it's Acosta now, it's changed. And I think, to be honest, I think we're going to end up finishing in P7 at best probably, because they're going to be all over the back of us. We haven't got any Power Mode 3 left to use, we've only got 0.3 of a lap in reserve. Acosta just went to the car park there trying to go around the outside of us, so there you go, he's close up to us already. I mean, they're way too fast in that last sector. It is ridiculous. They definitely have more sort of power than we do, and they definitely have more lean angle potentially than we do as well as we start this final lap of the race. So here we are down towards the hairpin. We're looking at the inside of Alcoba because he bashed us out the way trying to be aggressive back to. He's trying to hang it around the outside. So this just put us into the clutches of Acosta, but I've got to try and overtake him. Otherwise we are just going to go backwards. And you can see they're definitely using Power Mode 3 at the end of this race now. Acosta comes back through. We're back around the outside of Pedro again. And we're looking at the inside. Wow, we have just bashed Alcoba out the way there. But to be honest, he bashed me out the way. So I'm not feeling too bothered about it. We've put him on the curb. Are we going to be able to hang it around the outside into this right-hander? I don't think so, unfortunately. But we might be able to get back up the inside of him. We've sat Alcoba up a little bit. This could be probably the worst decision we've made, and it probably is, because we've just been bashed out the way by Acosta. Gonzalez has come through. Ben Schneider has also come through, and I'm pretty sure he fell off earlier in the race. So that is pretty bad. I mean, so did Acosta, but Ben Schneider's not the top flight rider. I'm going to try and use Power Mode 3 to the run to the line. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but just to try and hang on because otherwise they are just going to blast past us. I know we're pretty low on fuel, and Garcia comes up the inside, so we're down to P11, which is such a shame considering how well we've ridden. We've ridden way better than P11. It's going to be P12 because we've just been dragged to the line by Dalla Porta as well, so that's a shame. That is a shame because we deserve so much better than that. Yeah, race pace was quite poor, really. Fastest up of the race was at 42.5 to Tony Arbolino. What was our best? That 43.3, so we didn't really have the pace, but I think we could have done a lot better had the fuel was clearly a bit all over the place. It didn't know what it was doing because it would go from like 2 laps under to like half a lap over just within about 3 corners, which was very, very strange. And then also just the AI just getting in my way. It really, really cost me a lot of time. But there you go then, Sam Lowes is the victor of this first race at Portimao. It's a little bit strange, of course, with lots of riders crashing out from the front, but Sam Lowes kept his cool and managed to come home on top. Arenas actually ended up in second place, so he actually crashed, but managed to still come home in second place. I think the problem with Arbolino and Acosta, when they fell off, they then got stuck behind my train, and that allowed the riders like Lowes and Arenas actually pull away. But what a strange race. What a strange race we've had. And also Canet rounded out the podium, and we were battling with them basically right till the end. And in the end, how far did we end up? We ended up like, what, 7 seconds behind Canet? Okay, not 7. It's definitely not 7, is it? 5. We ended up like 5 seconds behind Canet. And we're literally battling with like 2 laps to go. So yeah, it was very, very strange. The AI just had such an advantage in that last sector. They could just roll past me basically. I had a massive advantage in sectors 1 and 2, but they could just roll in the fast corners. They just would carry an extra like 10 mile an hour. I don't know how they were doing it. I don't think it was a rider problem, because if they could roll through corners 10 mile an hour quicker than me, because they could always do it, they'd do it everywhere, but they could only do it in that last couple of sectors. And yeah, just seemed very, very strange. Seemed like they had more power probably as well. So of course the Riders' Championship is exactly the same as the race results, so we'll go straight on to the Teams' Championship, and that obviously does leave Mark VDS leading the championship, 38 points, 9 points clear of Red Bull KTM IO, and Pons round out the top 3. We're down in 8th place, just ahead of American Racing, so not too bad there. Not too bad, obviously, all 4 points coming from me, because Joe Roberts had a bit of a rough one, and that's at least one positive we could take. Our objective was to beat him in the championship, and we started off the championship by doing that. I know it has to be after 3 rounds, but we started off as a way we mean to go on, and we started off by beating Joe Roberts in that race. So with that race done now, then we'll head back to the career hub, see what we're going to get. Obviously, we're not going to get a new turning point or anything, but we'll get some reputation, and then just check the social media and see what the riders have to say. So we actually get a decent amount of reputation there, 8,450 just for finishing in the top 15. So it does seem like in Moto2 we are going to get some more reputation, which is lovely to see. And as we come back here into the career hub, we have got one message on social media, and Garcia said, "I knew that Biker would have tapped me at every turn, and luckily I finished the race in front. The entire team is satisfied, and we hope it will continue like this at Termas as well." So again, we'll be nice to him because there wasn't too much problems in that first race. We're just going to try and keep everyone on side because we saw how much they can bully us even when they're nice to us. So if they hated us, they'd have dive bombed us even more. So races are like that. Okay, so it didn't go well, but the team and I will pick ourselves up again for the next race. And of course, Garcia is a fellow rookie in this class in the game, so he probably is someone that we can gauge ourselves against. But he actually now likes us as well, so he's gone up to liking us already just from one nice comment on the social media. But that does pretty much bring this episode to a close, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed that one. A pretty good race, to be honest, even though the result was a bit disappointing, 12th place in the end. We definitely deserved more than that. We rode better than a 12th place finish. But considering we started 16th, if you look at it like that, 16th to 12th, not bad, considering that we were actually fighting for the win for a few laps. But of course, I soon realised that wasn't going to happen unless the AI continually crashed. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. If you are new to the channel, please do like the video and subscribe. It really does help me out, and of course it is a win-win for both of us as you get more MotoGP 23 and other bike game racing videos in your subscription feed. So like I said, it is a win-win for both of us. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you'll stay safe, and I shall see you in the next one.